Hey party people, I'm Kelly.
And I'm Bean.
And we're Kelly Beans Bees. We're first-time beekeepers here in Central Virginia, and today we are finishing going through the cookie dough hive.
Hopefully we finish. This is our third video on this. If you haven't watched the other two, probably a good idea to go look.
Yeah.
But Brandon's been getting a little long-winded recently, talking about a bunch of stuff.
They're learning.
Oh, I know.
That's the point.
It's been interesting things that, this time of year we get to talk about that we haven't been able to talk about any other time of year.
Yeah.
So, go back and watch those if you want to know what's been going on. But we're coming down here into the bottom. This is the edge frame down here, and they've been doing a really good job drawing it out. The other side they've started, but not really.
Yeah.
But they've got honey up near the top. They've got a lot of pollen stored away down there that you can see. So
yep, the different
this is
colors.
nice to see.
Perfect.
But what we're doing is we're going through. Really, I've already seen eggs. I've already seen brood. What I'm going through looking for at this point is just to see how many resources are in here. We've talked about it in the last couple of videos that we may end up taking a little bit of honey off this hive because they built up so strong. They built up so strong that I think it's completely fine for us to take. We're not going to hinder them. We're not going to hurt them. It's not going to make it so that they're going to die through the winter. Like, they're in a good spot. This is all pollen.
This, I think, has honey at the top and maybe some pollen or nectar as well.
Oh, yeah. This is honey and pollen. They've got a lot of pollen over here. Good. So, yes.
Yes.
We are going through now, and we're making sure that they're going to, if we take any honey, that they're not going to need it before they could bring in more. The last time we were out here, which has been 3 weeks ago, what we ended up seeing was that they had honey up in the super, but really all of this was packed out with brood. And I said, look, if they're going to be like that, if they're going to completely pack it out with brood, I don't want to touch the honey, because that's the only resources that they have stored away.
So then Bean crushed my dreams 3 weeks ago and made me sad.
So this week, I said, hey, we're going to check on it again. We're going to see how it's doing. And I've got larvae down in there.
Nice. And so Bean said, depending on how many resources they have and how they're doing, we could take some. And I said, deal. You looking for eggs?
Yeah. I think I've got eggs down there. So we talked about in the last video how we use black plastic foundation for a lot of this. And, a lot of our frames are new. They're brand new.
You can
and
tell
so
the difference.
our comb's kind of light because they just built it this year. All that kind of stuff. But
borrowed / exchanged with Raymond.
Yeah, so we've got a friend who also keeps bees, and his hives are a lot bigger than ours. They're a lot older. He's had them for years and years. And so they have enough comb right now, and they draw it out pretty easily. So he said, hey, I've got all this extra comb. If you want some, I'll give it to you. Like, I know you need it. Right, so we gave him a couple of our foundations that
I think we gave him a box.
Yeah, I think we traded a box.
We traded a box for a box.
But you can tell this is one of his, and if you want to get in here and see, the comb is so dark because it's getting so old that, like, if I said, hey, there are eggs in here, and then Kelly tried to show you, there's no way you'd ever see it. That's why when I brought out the other frame in the other video, I said, hey, this is a really good frame to see the eggs, because you could see it.
Yeah. Raymond writes his year on them, so that was a 2019 frame.
Yeah, it's good to keep track of that just because as the bees are bringing in the resources needed to build wax, they're also picking up small amounts of anything that's in the environment. So if there are small amounts of pesticides, if there's small amounts of herbicides, all that kind of stuff, it will slowly build up in the wax in the hive. And, if you let your hive go for 20 years, say, and you never change out the comb and it's always the same, theoretically you could run into some problems.
Yeah.
Some people say like 3 to 5 years you should switch it out. I've heard 10, 15 years in that range you should switch them out. But
we don't know what we're doing.
Yeah, this is our first year, so we're not anywhere close to any of those numbers.
But we are at a working farm, like pumpkin patch and farm, so I mean there is the potential for that kind of stuff in there.
Yeah. So, that's just something to consider that we'll have to think about further down the road. But for now, we're not super worried about it. It's not a problem for us as of yet.
As of today.
Yep. So I'm going to keep going through here. Work while I talk.
I'm a little surprised I haven't seen as much brood.
Pollen, eggs. A lot of pollen. They're storing a lot of pollen down here.
Well, you told them they better get ready for winter, so they're trying.
So in the last video, we also talked about kind of positives and negatives to picking a place for your bee yard. And while the shade is really nice, there's Brood over here.
Yeah, there's
While the
some in
shade
back.
is very nice for, not overheating and dying, one downside of it is that it's a lot harder to actually see into the cells here. Because if you can get the sun to go down into the cells, you can normally see right to the bottom and see what's in there. But
when
today
it's the
in
middle of
shade-
July, I'm thankful for the shade.
Right. Today in the shade, I'm actually having a little bit of trouble spotting eggs and things down in the bottom of these cells just because the comb itself is so dark because it's been around for a while. And it's dark itself. I'm pretty sure we've got eggs in here. I've seen eggs in the rest of the hive, so I'm not super worried about not having a queen or anything. Plus, we're getting to the point in the year where the bees probably will start to back off a little bit on brood production because there's not really going to be much in the environment. There's not really going to be a whole need to have a ton of workers all the time. And so,
There's
the type
Brood
of
here.
bees that we have, I've got pollen, brood, a little bit of honey. Same thing over here.
Oof.
The type of bees that we have are carniolan bees.
Carnies.
And normally, well, I should say, if you're over here in the Americas, we really don't have any purebred bees.
Do you need a spray?
Yeah, I am.
A spritz.
There are some strains that people have worked on that are, specifically bred for certain purposes. And those are the closest we're going to get to purebred bees. But Italians, Carnies, the big names that you would talk about with bees, we don't have purebreds of those. So when you talk about, oh, these are Carny bees, well, they show Carny tendencies is normally just all that means.
Or
And one thing with
characteristics.
Carnies is that when the resources start to slow down a little bit, when it starts to get later in the year, they really pull back on their brood production. And that helps them to go through winter with less bees. So they have less stress because they have more resources per bee. Whereas with Italians, they can keep brood all through the winter, theoretically. They just keep on going and going and going as long as they can, which means they actually will use a lot more resources through the winter than something like a Carny would.
And that's
So-
what made you and your decision helped you in your decision to get this
Yes,
type.
that was one of the reasons why I wanted Carnies, was because of that.
They're coming for you today, buddy.
Yeah, that one got through the glove a little bit.
Oh, are you all right?
It wasn't too bad. See, Kelly talked about last video, I think it was, that these are goat skin gloves. They're not thick enough to actually stop the stinger
They're
itself.
a little cute, but not
Yeah.
really.
They're not quite enough to stop the stinger itself, but they're enough to kind of really keep it from going into you. And so, there, I got stung a little bit on the finger. I felt it. It stings a little bit. Haha. But overall, it's not going to be anything I'm worried about. Yeah, they're really packing in resources here.
Yeah. I wish that there's a little bit of a queen cell cup on this side,
I'll look at it.
near the bottom.
I'm trying to find a good angle to get the sun into here, but there is no sun, so I don't know what I'm doing.
It's over there.
Yeah, I can see some larvae down in there.
Oh, you didn't look at the side, buddy.
Oh, thank you. Where are you looking?
It's about near the bottom.
Yeah. Again, I'm not super worried about squishing these at this point. I don't think they're going to be swarming out. They don't seem
But
to be...
you never know.
Yeah, they don't seem to be in a super expansive mood. But yeah, as Kelly said, you don't really know. Something could happen, and as long as we have eggs in here, I know that if they have to, they can build a new queen still. Once they only have larvae left, if they didn't have any eggs, then they can't build another queen. And if they can't build another queen, then that's a problem if I'm squishing all of the queen cells. Or queen cups in this case, because I don't think there's anything in them.
You're starting to bump my fingers.
Yeah, these bees are a little bit more rowdy than the other ones have been.
Yeah. Although they're the strongest. The strongest.
Mhm.
I can't talk. Your face.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, buddy. I think you're sending them to me. Woo! Just kidding. We're okay, right?
Yeah, we're good.
It is a little scary, though, when they bump you on the hands when you're holding the phone. They're more on your right. Yeah, you look better.
All right.
I think you just
Sounds a lot better.
sent them to me, though. You know?
Yeah.
How do I look?
Oh, they're okay. You've only got a couple around you.
At least like a dozen.
So, you know, I'm not going to worry about the last couple of frames. They're not happy with me being here anyway. We're about to steal their honey, so they're not going to be happy about that either.
Oh, great.
And really, I haven't seen anything in the hive that makes me really wonder about the health. Everything seems to be fine. Nothing's out of the ordinary. We talked about it in, I think it was the fish food hive video.
Number 7. No, I'm just kidding.
That we're going to probably, next time we come out, do Varroa checks. The thing with pretty much every Varroa treatment is you don't really want to do it with honey supers on. Either it's illegal to do it with honey supers on, or it just decreases the efficiency of the treatment itself. So because of that, and because we still have honey supers on, I'm not going to do a Varroa treatment quite yet, or check for it, I should say. If I wait a couple of weeks, I don't think it's going to go completely crazy. I think it's going to be okay. And then we'll check for Varroa, and if we have a large population, or a large enough population, I should say, then we'll go ahead and try out some treatments. And we'll get to talk about...
Did that have stuff on the bottom?
What do you mean?
The little
No.
Things.
Nope. So, then we'll get to talk about kind of what we're doing with Varroa treatments. We can talk about Varroa mites a little more. So, that'll be some interesting videos.
Yeah. Alright guys, well, we're putting these back together, and then we're going to figure out what we're doing with the honey supers. Are we taking some?
Yeah.
Oh man, we're taking some honey. Do a honey dance. Woo. You're not doing a dance. Okay, I was about to say, you all can't see me do a honey dance. Maybe if I just shake the camera. Woo, woo. It might give you motion sickness.
Yeah.
Alright, so thanks for being here. We hope to see you on the next one, and we hope you learned something today.
Yep.
Alright, bees out, y'all.